Hi everybody. Today we're going to talk about our first unit, Unit 1A, called Displaying Data. So the way I set this up is that it's split into two videos. So the first video is going to talk all about data and the different types of data, whereas the second video is going to talk about the different data displays and how we display the data, kind of creating those things. You can watch the videos one after the other. You could take a break in between, totally up to you. So here we go. So this is just the breakdown of the two videos. So in the first video, the learning target is that we can choose the appropriate data display given the data. So for this, we need to know the different kinds of data. So categorical versus numeric. Another breakdown is continuous versus discrete data, and also data that's one versus two variables. And then in the second video, we're going to be able to create and interpret these data displays, such as frequency tables, histograms, and dot plots. Okay, so the two different videos are learning targets there. Here's some important vocab. So obviously we're talking about data. We need a definition here. This is not useful if we don't have it. So data is information we can collect, measure, measurements are categories, and they have a context. So numbers with a context, right? We need that context. We can, for example, we could talk about the number of games you went to last week or the number of minutes you practiced the piano, right? But these numbers need a context. And one breakdown is categorical data versus numeric data. So starting with categorical or qualitative, it's information sorted into groups or categories. So that categorical piece kind of hinting at the categories, whereas the qualitative piece goes with a quality. So information sorted into groups or categories. So a good example is words used to describe things. So for example, I ask you, how was your first day of school? And I get responses like good, tiring, confusing, boring, right? So I would now ask the whole class, and then I'm taking these responses and kind of sorting them into groups of categories. So I'll take all the people who said good, put them in one category, all the people who said boring, all the people who said confusing maybe, okay? And now we have some qualitative or categorical data. On the other hand, we have numerical or quantitative data, data that measures an amount or a quantity, and it has a unit attached to it. So instead of asking you how your day was and looking for a word response, now I'll say, how was your first day of school on a scale of 1 to 10, for example. Now the data that's coming back to me is a number associated with a unit about how well your day was. Okay, I can put this into groups, but it's data that's measuring an amount or a quantity, a number response, quantitative data. Here's a good time to pause. I have some examples here. We're deciding if it's categorical or numerical. So pause, go through these examples A through H, and then when you come back, we'll go through the answers together. All right. Example A. What is your favorite kind of soda? So again, we're talking categorical versus numerical. So here you want to think about the types of responses you're going to get from the question. So if I ask you what your favorite kind of soda is, that's the question, but the response we're thinking about. Someone could say Coke, Pepsi, grape, orange, right? They're not saying they're saying words, right? They're not saying numbers. So since they're saying words, we're talking categorical data here. Okay? So again, we're thinking about the response the question is prompting. Example B, how many hours of TV do you watch in a week? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I'm saying 5 hours of TV, a numeric, so numeric data here. Example C, what kind of pets do you have? So here we're saying what back? Kind of pets. Dogs, bunnies, cats, birds. I'm saying words here. I'm describing these pets into categories. Categorical data for that one. What is your favorite basketball team? Answers could be what? The Celtics, the Knicks. I don't know many basketball teams. But we're not saying a number here. We're saying a favorite team, so that's categorical data. Example E says, how many pets do you have? So here we're differing from example C where it says what kind of pets, where I would say like dogs, bunnies, rabbits, birds. How many pets do you have? Well, I have to say one dog, right? One cat, two bunnies. So here I'm describing a number of pets, so that's numeric. What is your period A class? Math, geometry, calc, English, gym. Categorical. What is your household income? Okay, here is a number response, so that is numerical. And same with what is your GPA, another number, so that is numeric. My face is over, but that's a numeric. Yes? All right. Another breakdown here, we're talking about discrete data versus continuous data. So on the left here, we have discrete data can only take on certain individual values. So I like to think of discrete data as something we can count, right? Some data number that we can count, whereas continuous data can take on any value in a certain range. So you may think you'll be able to count it, but when you think about it more in depth or more critically, there's a whole bunch of values in that range that it could be. So that's like where continuous data comes in. It can take on any range. So discrete, we can count it. Continuous, we might think we can count it, but when you think a little bit deeper, there's a whole range of numbers it could range from, or it could be. So here we'll talk about some examples here. It might be easier to grasp. The number of pages in a book, right? That's a discrete variable. I'm on page 3. I'm on chapter 1, I'm on page 46, right? We can count it, we can tell someone what page we're on. It's a discrete variable. Whereas the length of a movie, for example, is continuous because you might think like, oh, I'm going to stop the movie here. It's at like an hour and 15 minutes. But when you think about it, if you break it down further, it's an hour, 15 minutes, 30 seconds, and 20 milliseconds, right? There's like a range of this time. So when we think about time and length, we're talking continuous here. A shoe size. So the shoe sizes come in whole sizes and half sizes. I'm in size 8. You could be a size 5.5. But if you're like 5 3/4, well, you're either going to get a 6 or a 5.5. But it's a discrete variable because they come in whole and half sizes, not anywhere in between those. Looking over at continuous, we talked about length being continuous. Also, temperature is a continuous variable. It ranges, I don't know, 75 degrees. It's not like exactly 75 when you think about it. There's a whole, there's more breakdowns of the temperature can be. So we're talking length, temperature as continuous variables. The number of people in a race is a discrete variable, okay? Number of people, you can't have like 3/4 of a person, okay? When we talk people, in a race, for example, that is a discrete variable. There's 15 people running my race, right? And time, like I said before, time is a continuous variable. Just like that length of the film, the time you run the race. So there might be 15 people in the race, and I took, I don't know, 45 minutes to run the race. I took 45 minutes, 30 seconds, and 10 milliseconds, and time can keep being broken down in a certain range. So that's where continuous comes in. Yes, so we have discrete versus continuous. The next slide, I have some examples. Another good time to pause the video. Try to sort these out. Okay, when you come back, I'll show the answers. Talking discrete versus continuous. Here's our T-chart. We have discrete variables on the left, continuous on the right. Population of a town, talking number of people. Volume of a cereal box, volume, length, continuous. Number of matches in a box, takes on a specific number. We're not having half of a match. Speed, top speed of a car, right, can keep being broken down. Your shirt collar size, kind of like your shoe size. The length of a crocodile is continuous, length again. The number of goals you score in a season, you're not scoring 3/4 of a goal, you either score or you miss, right? And temperature again, continuous. All right, that's all I have for you for part 1, or the first video. I'm going to talk about data displays in the second video.